to infinity and beyond. And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Joined my good friend Rob from Digital Asset News, and it's a good day in the markets. Up here, past 54K, we had like a $3,000 candle in only 3 minutes. A lot of volume coming in on that, so we'll look at the charts and break that down and more. But first, Rob, thanks for coming on the show, and how are you?
Great. I'm better now because the market's up like I think we're at $2.3.5 trillion or something like that. So yeah, I'll take these days all day long.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to jump into some charts and give a brief recap of kind of what has happened in the last few hours and what has led this to increase this much. So going over here to the markets, see that our top performers today, SHIB, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin up there at around 7.3% increase on the day, just coming down from that 54K level. But the interesting thing, and I do want to highlight this candle because it was very notable. You know, yesterday we had talked about this kind of descending trend line in confluence with this Fibonacci resistance level that had really acted as resistance previously. And we were wondering, you know, is it going to take a couple tries to get past this level? We had a massive short squeeze this morning, or little short liquidations that really sent us up very quickly. And now we're facing that next resistance level at about 56K. But what's really notable, I think, is on the 1 minute chart here. So earlier in the hour, you can see that we had just an enormous amount of volume and buying come in, likely from a larger player, and send us right up to about 55K in a very short instance. So very interesting stuff there. I think that this bodes well. I think that we're likely to see a consolidation and continue upward because something really unique is going on, in the sense that personally, I've never seen something like this. I was actually somewhat wrong too, in the sense that I said, you know, I don't think Bitcoin will be able to thrive amongst a very strong falling equity market. However, we're actually starting to see like Shocktober, larger funds rotate capital from the equity market into Bitcoin, and we're actually seeing somewhat of a decoupling. So very interesting stuff. Rob, what's your take?
First of all, you know how you talked about there was a wick in the last, how long did that wick take for $3,000 increase?
3 minutes.
Yeah. So that might be a little manipulation, right? And we always complain about manipulation. God dang, it's being manipulated, and you know, they're driving the price down. But guess what? When it gets manipulated, the price up, no one really cares. No one's like, it's okay. And of course, just like you said, maybe like a short squeeze. You were talking about liquidations. I didn't see the liquidations, but sorry for everybody who tried to short Bitcoin. That was I mean, in retrospect, I mean, you gotta, if you want to try, go ahead. But I always thought like Q4 would be, you know, it is the last quarter of our 4-year cycles, 4-year cycle as far as like crypto goes. And I know some people don't believe in the 4-year cycles, but you know, went pretty well in like 2009, 10, 11, 12. Worked out pretty well in 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then it also is working out pretty well so far. And I think that Q4 is going to be fireworks, I like to say. But the most interesting thing is like what you said here, which was the decoupling. Like I'm taking a look at the S&P 500 just right now, for instance. And over today, it is down. But it's crazy because it's like it's down 1.09%. And I think to the traditional market, that's awful. And of course, in crypto, that's like, that was just 5 minutes ago. So whatever. But yeah, interesting. 5 days ago, I mean, we saw a big dip. What was it? Monday, October 4th, a big dip. Last Thursday, and then now again. So yeah, maybe this is what like we like to call flight to safety, as people start to look for alternative assets, because gold's not doing so great. Equity market's not doing so great. it's kind of tough to get into the real estate market because the prices are so damn high. So where do you go? Well, how about this new emerging class, which everybody seems to want to get into? Yeah, interesting stuff. And then it's also interesting, just lastly, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. It's interesting that we see like the big performers are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Underneath that, what do you got? You got some meme coins, DOGE, what, shirt, whatever. And then Shiba Inu. Yeah, all right, I don't think it's gonna work out too well. But besides that, the alts are taking a little bit of not a beating, but they're down as opposed to that. So maybe this whole thing with regulation and how Gensler and the SEC and everybody else is like, we don't want to ban it. And the only thing that really has somewhat clarity is Bitcoin and Ethereum as being not securities. Anyhow, that's my broad take.
Yeah, this time is so interesting. It reminds me of when Bitcoin made its initial run from 20 to then 40K, because that's when a lot of the institutions really got into it. That's when we had MicroStrategy, PayPal, Silvergate, etc. But at that time, the alts weren't doing that great. I actually remember a lot of like famous Bitcoin maximalists during the bear market were like, "Oh, we're proven right. We're proven right now. Bitcoin's the only thing leading the charge." But then, of course, you got all the retail capital that kind of slingshotted back into the market effect. Then we saw the rotation to alts. Yeah. So we had a question earlier, kind of in our community room about, is it time to rotate into alts now that Bitcoin is increased? My opinion is that I think Bitcoin is still going to lead the way here for the initial charge. Then if retail comes in mania, that's when you get like the really, really interesting price action, a lot of the lower cap alts and mid cap alts. But I'm interested to hear your perspective and your opinion on kind of the rotation of capital in this space as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. But first of all, good morning, Amanda, Mark, Carl, and Vincentini. Thanks for stopping by. Or at least thanks for commenting, because that really helps the algorithm. As far as like rotation, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you're to maximize your prop, I mean, everybody's different, right? Some people are super conservative like myself. Some people are a little bit risky, and some people are just degenerates, and they're gonna just gamble away. So like if you're looking for profits, what did I think if we take a look at like Plan B, who's been doing pretty well, not with the stock to flow, but just with his technicals. I mean, he called the last 2 months at 47 and 43 as far as closing. This month, I think, is he calling for 64 or 67? Something like that. And he's been pretty right so far. So if you look at that, and we're at 50. Yeah. So like, I mean, you can make some pretty safe profits here, but if you rotate into some alts, which there's a lot of big head room for that, then I think what people are going to do, some people, not all people, they're going to sell a little bit off of their gains from Bitcoin, Ethereum, transition into some low cap alts, maybe like some blue chip type of cryptos, get some gains there, and then really go down if they really want to maximize, and then just start cycling through. So it goes Bitcoin, blue chip, gamble, Bitcoin, blue chip, gamble, and then up you go. And then I like how Michael says it, I'm a degenerate. We're all degenerates in some way, shape, or form. So, I mean, we should just embrace that. But in all honesty, not investment opinion, just investment, or not investment advice, not just investment opinion. Just be safe out there, because, I mean, we all think everything's going to go to the moon and it's just going to go up forever. It doesn't work like that. And there's so many whales out there that can manipulate this market, because there's only 2 trillion. We got 100 trillion in the in equities. And that's super. I mean, they can manipulate that. So just don't think like, it'll go up forever and everybody's going to play nice. It's not how it works. They're gonna manipulate, and the prices are going to be swinging pretty wildly.
So you said you're a little bit more conservative in your strategy. I know you've talked about dollar cost averaging a lot throughout your channel. How do you what's your strategy going into the end of the year here in Q4? Do you plan to rotate some capital into alts, or are you already like positioned with what you think is going to do well?
Yeah, well, it's different. And because if we just look at 2017, what happened, it would be pretty easy just to go, okay, so here's my predictions of where Bitcoin's going to go, 100 to 130K, right, by end of year, which means that whatever I dollar cost average into, I'm going to dollar cost average out, and then leave another 20% because I'm never going to sell everything. That's the easy play to do. But now that things are kind of progressing and changing, now we don't just have to, cash out into cash. We can take those crypto loans and we can put those into other assets. You can put those into, if you really want to do metals, fine. But you can also do real estate as things kind of go down a little bit. You can do things like Masterworks, where they do tokenized or fractionalized shares of art and be like more of a store of value, or really whatever, or even into your own business. But I see there's that part as far as like you can do loans and things like that. Also, I see a bigger play, which is like the staking. And the staking aspect wasn't as big as it was in 2017. And now almost, I mean, you see so many different tokens that can be staked. It is good to cash out and have that money on the sidelines, but what do you do with it? I mean, it's just disintegrating over time. So really, you start to look at where are these assets going to go. So this is the problem, CJ. You know, I have a problem. I have a problem. My problem is I'm not good at taking profits. I'm great at investing and holding. So I'm going around I'm making the rounds these days to different sets of people throughout YouTube and the Twitters, and just to see what their advice is as far as taking profits. So far, I just got the assets part. I just have my price predictions, but over time, I'm going to be actually rearranging how I do things a little bit, just tweak a little bit. So I don't know if I even answered your question. I think I may have gone around the whole thing.
No, that's all good. That was
okay,
very
great.
insightful nonetheless. I want to ask you about Cardano as well, because you do have a staking pool that you've put together. And I think the reason that Cardano has performed really well is the fact that it's got really good supply and demand dynamics due to the fact that a lot of people have decided to stake Cardano. And so when you have more of that supply locked off exchanges, it tends to really bolster the price, or you don't need as much volume to make price increase. And so I guess the thing that I've been interested in is that, retail loves ADA. They really like to buy it. They believe in Charles. But in terms of the ecosystem, when you compare it to an asset like Solana, do you think that ecosystem is coming, or, what's your thoughts on ADA and how you see that development?
So it's a great question. People love ADA, people hate ADA. And it's kind of like there's not too much in between. There's a little bit, but it pretty much swings that way. And I mean, I like ADA. I like what it can potentially do. A lot of different products that are built on it, like a World Mobile Token, setting up infrastructure and setting up digital IDs and the actual financial part for parts of Africa and the unbanked and things like that. I also like things like Meld, where they're offering loans where it's a DeFi project where it's mostly paying back the interest and not so much the principal, because you're farming it. And it's like a 2-in-1 type of thing. So I like those parts. What I don't like about Cardano, and I've talked about this before, and I think this is what really gets the people, it's a double-edged sword. One is that they're slow to bring things around. And like I own businesses, and I just try to like throw things at the wall. I'm like, oh, that worked, I'm gonna do that. And then, that didn't work, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm always like, I wish Cardano would do that. However, that part sucks. However, we also take a look at other projects as far as like, just take a look at DeFi and the different rug pulls that went on as far as like Iron Finance. The problem there is that things went too fast, or like Wi-Fi. Things went too fast and like, we'll just break some things. You know what gets broken? The investor. Because it's not like the developers are putting their money up. It's all people like us going in there going, man, I hope this works. And guess what? It doesn't work. And then the rug gets pulled and like, God dang it, that just sucked. I just lost, a ton of money. My wife's going to kill me. So like when I see these two things, I'm glad they take a little bit of time, but unless they get a working product, more so, let's get a DEX out there. Let's get some AMMs. Let's make sure that we can actually use some things on there besides the NFTs, besides the staking. And I think everything would work itself off. But I would like to share one thing. Two things, actually. Please. As far as Cardano goes. Let me see here. Staking. So let me share my screen. I'm gonna try to do a 2-in-1. There we go. Share. So the things we talk about as far as like tokenomics, okay? This is it. So when we take a look at whatever. We take a look at the tokenomics for like everything that's really been in here as far as the tokens that are distributed, right? So like if we take a look at like the the public sale, community allocations, insiders, foundations, and more. This is from Masari. The things that we don't want to see is we don't want to see a lot of insiders, which is that, I guess it's the pinkish fuchsia. I don't know what color you might call that. I'm damn near colorblind. So when we see a lot of insiders, we don't like to see that too much, right? Avalanche has a big portion of that. Near, I have no idea what Near is. ICP, 39%. Flow, I have no idea what that is. 58%, 44% for Cello. Blockstack, 41. Solana, 48%. And insiders are all the team, the company, and the VC purchase tokens. Well, that's not great. And as much as like there was some complaints about Ethereum, look at Ethereum. Ethereum had a pretty huge public sale. And then people were able to get in there. Insiders, 15%. I think that was like a Mike Novogratz play. And then foundations. So when we take a look at Cardano, the public sale was pretty large. And then also on top of that, you've got 17% insiders. Okay, not too bad. And then 2% foundations and more. I think that's actually improving. And then if we take a look at like the staked, what is actually being staked, this is all by market cap. So don't look at per se like the percentages themselves, because Solana has 76% staked, but it's I think it's ranked number 6 in the market cap. Cardano is number 3 or 4, depending on what hour it is. And you're looking at 70% staked. So the thing that I like about this is that if you take a look at Cardano, as far as people staking it, there are no lockup periods. So these guys could unstake it. I mean, really at any time. It doesn't take more than like a block or so, and then they're out. Solana, there's a little bit of locked up periods, and that is between a certain amount of time, but it's not that much. Avalanche has even more so. So even though they can get out, as far as like Cardano holders can get out as far as like staking, they don't. They just stick around, and that's free will. I think that's a good thing to have. All right, that was my little spiel. Stop screen. There we go.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Rob.
Yeah.
Very interesting when it comes to the staking, because it contributes so much to, you know, how easily you can push price up or down in a particular direction when you have more staked kind of off chain, or not off chain, but off of exchanges. But nonetheless, what I want to end today with is just a little bit of TA on a potential Doge of the day. However, I would say it's mainly Bitcoin showing the majority of the strength in the market overall today. Of course, we were looking at the 1 minute chart earlier, but we had talked a lot about this particular inverse head and shoulders pattern, but it's now come to fruition. And, you know, if we see consolidation below this 56 level, I think it just it really makes a nice posture for Bitcoin to go higher up into the 60,000s throughout the rest of the month of October. So, I mean, I cannot tell you how bullish fundamentally I feel on the space right now, despite that, or because we're seeing this decoupling. I mean, in retrospect, it kind of makes sense due to the fact that we've had such a supply shock. But, you know, when you look at Ethereum, we talked about the alts kind of lagging a little bit, but still, it looks prime for, you know, that potential inverse head and shoulders breakout. You have the volume profile of the left shoulder right here. You have the same thing with the head, following Bitcoin very, very similarly. So I'm looking at these two very closely throughout the rest of the week for some bullish price action. But overall, I'm very happy to see Bitcoin outperform the S&P, or at least be resilient in the midst of the S&P struggling. But with that being said, Rob.
No, on that one, it's just there's plenty of volume, and we've been talking about this supply shock for the longest time. You know, it just seems like it's been coiling up, and I mean, even Raul Powell talked about it in one of his sessions. He goes, it just seems like every single chart that I see seems like everything is like just coiling up for this one moment, then everything is going to blast off. And it looks like we have the volume, it is there. We have the desire. Looks like there's a lot of people getting in. And then as far as like longs and shorts, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people shorting Bitcoin right now because they all got liquidated. But I think it's a step in the right direction. But the question I have in my mind is always these things. We can decouple a little bit from equities, and we can do that. But at one point, can we truly decouple from the traditional market and just say, okay, everybody's going to come down this way, especially if like the Fed comes out and says, hey, we've been, holding down these interest rates, time to raise, time to really, go up, and we can't bail everybody out now. So let's just let the market go. I mean, at some point they're going to have to say that. And that is when things will be interesting. Will that store of value narrative and even the currency narrative actually work out for Bitcoin? Will people go to that or not? I don't know. It'll be an interesting time, but it looks so far like today is we got to win. So we'll take that win. We'll do a victory lap.
Well, don't forget, folks, make sure you go to danteachescrypto.com. Rob provides some great education, teaches you about staking pools. He also has an ADA staking pool. Make sure you check out Digital Asset News YouTube channel. That's Rob's content over there. He puts out stuff very regularly. It's awesome when it comes to news, fundamental insights, and many other things. So thank you so much for joining us today, Rob. Are there any final words you'd like to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, this is what I've been thinking about lately. As we start to get into this Q4, you're going to start to hear everybody talking about it'll never go down. It's just going to keep going on forever. And it's the same story that I heard in 2017. I know people say, Rob, you're a relic and you have PTSD from 2017. Well, I'm here to tell you that as long as greed exists, cycles will still exist. And as long as people want to take massive profits and there's going to be whales out there trying to gobble up everything, I think it's still going to happen. So just be careful out there and don't FOMO into everything. Just sit back, whatever your plan was in the beginning, just remember that hopefully you have a plan of attack and you can actually work these things out without getting too engrossed into what's about to happen in the next 3 months.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Don't forget, if you'd like to see more than just the daily crypto bites, you can go to marketrebellion.com/try crypto. That is our trading community with Monty and I at Market Rebellion. We publish trade insights on a regular basis. We have an entire trading education curriculum. If you'd like to learn more about TA and our kind of philosophy of how we strategize and approach markets, you can check that out and just try it for a week for only $7. So we really appreciate that. Also, the show is sponsored by Voyager. So if you are looking for a new crypto brokerage, something where you can get 12% interest on Polkadots, if you sign up for Voyager using the promo code REBEL25, they will give you $25 in Bitcoin. So we really appreciate that. But thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Adios.